Back to school shopping shouldn't feel like a test, so ace your list at Target. Save 5% with debit or credit red card on gear kids need to start the year right. Apply now. Some restrictions apply. Visit target.com/redcard for red card 5% discount details.
Blog Talk Radio.
Alternative facts.
The following message is transmitted at the request of the United States government. At 12:07 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, numerous unidentified objects of unknown intent and unknown origin were detected at high altitudes over multiple locations of Earth's outer space by the National Radio Astronomy Observatory, and these objects are presumed to be some form of controlled aircraft. It is not known if more of these aircraft will arrive, or if they will attempt entering Earth's atmosphere. United States citizens are encouraged to monitor local media outlets, as more updates will follow as information becomes available. The following message is transmitted at the request of the United States government. Attacks by the undead have been reported in several states across the country. The dead are rising from their graves and are attacking the human race. At this time, it is expected that more attacks of this nature will occur in several other states in the next few hours. The intent behind their attack is unknown at this time. He has been observed that a byte or exchange of fluids is a method of transmission. This is an extremely dangerous situation if they crave the taste of human flesh. It is not known whether this event will last for hours, days, or even longer. Stay calm, as authorities have been dispatched to deal with these creatures. An all-clear siren will be sounded when this situation is under control. Pacific Standard Time, nor is detected a long-range nuclear missile launch. This missile is believed to be headed in the direction of all residents within a 400-mile radius of this area should seek a fallout shelter immediately.
Welcome to Within the Chaos with your host,
Rodney Shortridge,
and co-host, Robin Dalton.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. You can listen in by going to blogtalkradio.com/withinthechaos, or listen in by phone. You can dial 323-870-4197. And you can also call in to ask questions to our guests at the same number, 323-870-4197. From deep within the heart of the Appalachians, I'd like to welcome everyone and thank you all for listening to Within the Chaos. My name is Rodney Shortridge, and I'll be your host tonight, along with my fiery redhead co-host, Robin Dalton. Well, Robin ain't here yet. She had to work a little late, so she'll be here probably around 10:30, I think she said. So, With that being said, tonight our special guest is Vida Ghaffari. Vida is an award-winning actress, voiceover artist, and fashion and beauty blogger. I'd like to give a shout-out to my cousins up in Ohio, Jennifer and Joe Shortridge of 222 Paranormal. If you get a chance, check out their talk show. You can find them on Facebook under 222 Paranormal. Also to the beautiful and lovely ladies of the Paranormal Party and SOS Sisters of Salem, my amazing friends, Misty and Ashley Connor, the famous Connor sisters. If you get a chance, check out their talk show also, and you can find them on Facebook under Paranormal Party. And to all the freaks out there, the big freak, the major freak, Ryan Jones of the Freak Show in the 360 House. Again, get a chance, get your freak on, check out Ryan's Freak Show, and you can also find him on Facebook under Freak Show. I also like to give a big old shout out to all the Facebook paranormal groups and actor groups and so forth, UFO, Bigfoot, anybody that'll let me post anything. Big shout out to all y'all. Thank y'all so much for letting us get a word out. So, with no dragging my feet any longer, it's my honor to welcome our special guest, Vida Ghaffari. Hello, Vida, and thank you for joining us tonight. Hello? Let's see. She is on, but I don't hear her. Vida, do you have a mic that you might be using for your computer? Or telephone, or whatever you're using? Because it does show that you're on the air. Are you just the silent type? I think she's doing the silent movie thing here. But problem is it's the internet. But it's all right, people. We've had these problems before. It ain't nothing that we can't work out. If she can hear me, I guess we're going to have to go to the fallback plan of maybe her calling in. She could call in at 323-870-4197. And until then, until I hear from her, I guess I'll tell everyone about my day. I picked 20 gallons of green beans today. Oh, I think that's her. I see a phone number. Let's check and see.
Hello, it's Vida.
Vida, I called you Vida.
Yes, that's okay. I'm used to it. Everybody calls me Vida. My sister's name is Ida, so a lot of people call me Vida. It's fine. I'm used to it. But Vida's even better.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. Well, from being here in the South, we call it as we see it.
Exactly, and I'm from Maryland, and you're from Virginia. It's the great continental divide, right?
Exactly. When people see especially my first name, I don't let people know it, and when they see it, they tear it up. But I don't give them no grief about it.
Exactly. But it's great to be on your show, Virginian. We're both from the Mid-Atlantic, so I'm really excited tonight to be guesting on your wonderful show.
Oh, it's awesome. It's such an honor to have you on. Nothing like an Eastern people.
Yes, the honor is all mine, Rodney. The honor is all mine.
Oh, you're making me blush.
Aw.
So, can you tell everyone about yourself and what started you on this amazing journey as an actress?
For sure. My background is in journalism originally. I studied journalism at the University of Maryland. I actually had a very traditional Persian father, and he was a mathematician and scientist. He wanted me to be an economist because there's some tax they don't pay, but I think that's for foreign nationals. I was born and raised in the D.C. area, so that didn't even apply to me. But anyway, I managed to sneak over to the journalism building and to the drama department. I minored in theater and journalism at Maryland. And they had a really great journalism program and a really wonderful theater program. I mean, it wasn't Ivy League, but the guy that runs this Screen Actors Guild Conservatory built the theater that I performed in college, Carl Warren. So when I came out here, it just came full circle for me. But to be honest, I got my start in journalism. I was a reporter out here for Persian TV, non-religious, non-political. It was like Entertainment Tonight or the E! Channel, and I would cover red carpets. One of the biggest ones I think I ever covered, and I'm totally dating myself here, was Hannah Montana, the movie. And they shut down, you'd love this, they shut down all of Hollywood Boulevard where the El Capitan is. And they had a big buffet table of all Southern food. It was like grits, fried chicken, biscuits, the whole 9 yards, collard greens. All of Hollywood Boulevard was shut down, and they had this huge spread for all the media. So that was one foray of mine. I started to do the voiceovers a lot. I started to do the trailers and the promos, especially the promos for them. And, I always joke that they were very cheap. I would do twice the work for half the pay because I would work in English, I would work in Farsi. And then slowly I said to one of the guys, one of the guys said to me, somebody wants to hire you, somebody else in this, where the station was. And, I'll put some clips for you together. So it happened quite organically. And then I started doing a little voiceover. And it was great because it was before the big technological stuff where, everybody does voiceover. They put these ads on Craigslist where people make $20, for union work that usually is worth a lot more. And it was before all the celebrities started doing voiceover. So I was doing a lot of voiceover. I was doing a lot of industrial narration, promos, which is very rare for women. But nowadays, now that I'm in SAG, it's very hard to get promos. It's a very male-dominated field. So I did a lot of that, and then always wanted to do acting, like every young woman in Southern California and everywhere else. So I did that for a while and just started, booking character roles here and there. I got my first TV credit on Mind of Mencia in one of the sketches on Comedy Central, and then that eventually led to the Mindy Project. I was in the pilot. I really enjoy acting. I really enjoy comedy. But because I'm of Middle Eastern descent, I often play veiled roles in the hijab and what have you. My last big role on Jimmy Kimmel, I was in a burqa. So there's only so much you can do when you're covered up. So it was good, but I'm really enjoying my career now. I feel like I've had a little bit of a renaissance. So it's been a great ride.
Well, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So what when you're doing a role, or because I know some actors, they talk about how they get into character, and they kind of remain in character even after the shoot. What motivates you and that keeps you positive and focused when you're doing a role?
I got to tell you, I do a lot of research. For the hijab stuff, it's very easy because, I know all the dialects, and it's pretty easy to do. It's something that it's in my wheelhouse. I've done a lot of. So it's very simple. But for this other stuff, like for Holy Terror, for example, it's this movie that I'm really proud of. It's number 11 on Amazon Prime UK. You can find it on Amazon Prime right now. It's on Google Play. I believe it's on Xbox. It should be out on DVD soon. It was written and directed by the fabulous Rich Mallory and also produced by the wonderful Gregory Hot Kanaka that I'm a big fan of. It stars the wonderful Mel Novak. He's in Bruce Lee's Game of Death, and Tom Horn with Steve McQueen, and just an incredible actor, and the fabulous Christine DeBelle from Meatballs, and she played Jackie Chan's girlfriend in The Big Brawl. So her, Lisa London, she's also a noted actress, and Scott Butler. So it was a great cast. But for Holy Terror, I played a possessed woman without giving too much away. So much like Linda Blair, I was even likened to Linda Blair by this really wonderful journalist, Maurice Dwayne Smith from Cold Heat News. He called me the Persian Linda Blair. But I wasn't playing a Persian in the movie. But I had to watch like hours and hours of exorcisms. This is interesting that we're talking about exorcisms because I know you're into the paranormal. So I had to watch all these videos. I got wind of some underground videos. I used to co-host a show on LA Talk Radio about the paranormal and this kind of stuff. So I was privy to a lot of research, a lot more than what you see on YouTube, thanks to some wonderful friends. Thank you, wonderful friends out there, for helping me do the research on this. So I kind of approach things like I guess most actors would, but I also use it like a journalist because I've got good research skills. So that's basically what I did. And, I got my start on Capitol Hill but not to date myself, but this was before the internet is what it is today. So nowadays it's very easy to research stuff if you go to reputable places.
Yep, that's true.
Yes.
So you're also a award-winning actress. So what kind of awards have you received, and for what roles? And what has been your greatest accomplishment as an actress?
I'll be honest, I mostly received awards for my journalism, oddly enough, and for my blog because I've worked so hard on it, Rodney, so veryvita.com. But I have gotten a lot of nominations. I have gotten, actor awards here and there. I think one short I did, Strangers in a Book, did pretty well in terms of awards. It screened at the Cannes Marché du Film. It screened at the Finale Film Festival in, I believe, Germany. It screened all over the world, and not to put the cart before the horse, but there'll be a screening of it as well sometime this summer. I'm going to be a presenter at a fashion event, and they were so taken with the clothes in that movie that they're going to be presenting something. It's going to be, I think, the only film that's screened that's not like a fashion documentary, and there's going to be a fashion show, and I'm one of the presenters at this event, Moda 360. It's on August 1st. At the LA Mart, and it's a fundraiser for the LA Zoo, not to get off of tangents, but that's going to be the next screening of the film. So of my short, Strangers in a Book, with some great actors. One of the actresses from Little Women LA, Christy McGinty Gibble, Jean Mack. It's a wonderful cast. So there's that. And also I've gotten media awards from the Nollywood Association, Los Angeles Nollywood Awards. It's the Nigerians in Hollywood. They're very, very talented people. I love covering their events. It's the third largest Hollywood. After Hollywood, of course, and then Bollywood in India, it's Nollywood. So I've gotten to get to know a lot of their filmmakers. I'm originally, well, you know how it is. I'm from the D.C. area, so I know a lot of people from Africa. So I gradually found this wonderful international community in Los Angeles, of all places. And last year they awarded me. This year I will be a presenter at the 26th of August. This is coming up around the bend. So I'm very excited about that one. It's going to be in Hollywood. I believe it's at the L. Ron Hubbard Theater on Vermont and Hollywood. So that'll be on the 26th. And super duper excited about that one. And I think most of it has been it's funny. It leads to different things when you do so many things like I do. I got an entrepreneur award from my wonderful gal that I am so inspired by, Luzine Caribbean of the World Networks. I've gotten new media. I've gotten media awards from Eugene Sidney, is a renowned designer. He designs a lot of menswear. He awarded me, City of Los Angeles awarded me for acting and for journalism. I was also awarded by the West Los Angeles Chamber of Commerce for acting, voiceover, and journalism. So it's just been wonderful, and I'm very, very grateful.
Well, wow. That's all I can say.
I'm always writing, Rodney. I'm always writing or I'm always performing, so I'm always doing something.
And I thought, me winning a medal for deadlifting and all them weights I lifted back in high school was special.
Oh, my God, that is special because I can't even lift like a 5-pound weight. That is very special. That is very, very special.
Well, the older I get, the less weight I can lift.
But at least you have that, in your history that you have that muscle memory in your history.
Yeah, it don't remember like it used to, but it's.
I know, but at least you never had opera arms like I do.
Well, I did when I was in high school. I did a few plays, and I wanted to be an actor, or comedian, or something because it was the '80s, and I was big into Robin Williams, Eddie Murphy, and
of course that was the golden era of comedy.
Oh yes, and I did. I would try to take what they would say and spin it to the way my life was and is, and a lot of people are like, man, you should have been this, and you should have tried it. And I'm like, well, I cuss a lot, and a lot of people don't like it.
Yeah, Yeah, the political correctness era is definitely upon us. But you do stuff with the paranormal. I find that very interesting. I used to host a show, like I said, on LA Talk Radio. I don't know if we know the same people, but there's this character, Jose Escamilla. He's from Roswell, New Mexico, so he's seen a lot of things. But he would guest on the show. Laura Eisenhower, who's the great-granddaughter of former President Eisenhower, she actually went to my high school in Maryland. And the host of the show, Cameron Datsker from LA Talk Radio, thought it would be a cute thing to have a reunion. He brings back Laura and another classmate, and she is an astrologer, and she communicates to the other world and the other inhabitants of the world. So it was interesting having them on, and it's interesting that you have that background as well. It's very interesting.
Oh yeah, it has its ups and downs, especially being in the Bible Belt.
Oh.
So I get it. Certain towns, in the area will accept us, and then there's certain other towns that's like, you devil worshippers, stay away from us. And I'm like, where did the devil come into this?
Oh God! So I take it you're not near Northern Virginia.
No, I'm out on the other end of Virginia. That little bitty area that's near Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, North Carolina.
I have no idea. West Virginia, I went to the outlet stores once. I sound like such a tacky mid-Atlanticer. But are you near the outlet malls? And I know you're Virginia, but are you near that part of West Virginia? Because I feel like we were really close to Virginia when we went to West Virginia.
I think there's some outlet malls, but I don't ever go to them. I don't go to West Virginia unless I absolutely have to.
Oh, is it that bad?
Well,
they say it's the poorest state in the union, right?
Between it and Mississippi, yeah, it ain't looking too good for them. But
wow.
A lot of people up there know me, and so where I post a lot of political stuff, and I'm not a big fan of our president.
Oh God, here. Rodney, you must be in the minority where you are, right?
I am such a minority that it's pitiful.
Oh, that's terrible. That must be so hard. But, there's a lot of neocons in Southern, not to get political, but there's a lot of them in Southern California. You'd be surprised.
Oh, well, see, I used to drive a tractor trailer out to California every week.
Yes, I noticed. You must have the best stories.
Mm-hmm. I got some doozies.
So were you touched, if you mind my asking, I hate to be asking you the questions, but I'm so curious about this. Have you seen the paranormal that because you were a trucker, that you took such an interest?
Yeah, I seen a lot of stuff when I was growing up. When I was out on the road, I seen a few things, especially at night, because I mainly drove at night, because I don't like the traffic during the day, so I could get across the country a whole lot quicker at night. But I've seen a few things up in the sky. I know one time I was going from Flagstaff, Arizona, down to Phoenix, and it's about 3:00 in the morning Pacific time, and I was listening to Art Bell's show, and somebody came on the radio, was talking to him about a UFO sighting near Phoenix, and that they had these jets after it or something. And I'm looking around going, I don't see nothing. And it wasn't maybe 10 minutes later, as a big fireball shot across the interstate and two jets following it. And I'm like, holy shit. I'll be damn.
Oh my God. And where was this again?
It was in between Flagstaff, Arizona and Phoenix, Arizona.
Interesting. And just the energy, I hear from these people, because I used to host that show, that just the energy is different, right?
Oh, yeah. And the way it lit up the sky, and it made a sharp right. It was just like it went bam, bam, like a 90-degree bam. And the jets, where they tried to make the turn, you could see where they went way out there and then came back just to try to keep up with it. I was like, Lord have mercy. But then it was gone.
I think it's funny because the guy that hosted the show with me, he never had any experiences. I've never had any experiences, but my family has. So, there's lots of like woodsy areas in Maryland and Virginia. A person's bound to see stuff. But like one of the experts was kind of jealous that he never had an experience. My mom had a very strong experience. She actually, God, you're going to think I'm crazy, but she actually saw an alien. So after that, like, one of the hosts was just so disappointed. He's like, I should have seen the alien. It just got really weird because this man, like, devoted his life to it. You know what I mean? So, but these people would be excited and a little envious to hear about your wonderful experience. I think it's a blessing to see stuff like that. I'm sure everything changed for you. That's what I hear from all these people. Everything changes for them when they feel this experience.
I wouldn't say anything really changed. It's just, like
being more open-minded about this kind of thing, though.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, every experience I have, just opens up my mind even more, but it even leaves more questions. And that's the reason why I got into, especially in this area, there's so many people that tells, ghost stories or something that happened to them or a creature they seen growing up or as an adult. Mm-hmm. And, when you start talking to them, especially when we go to these events, they'll stand there and tell us all these stories, and I'm like, well, can we come to your area, to your home or whatever and investigate and see what we can find? No, right. No. That's okay. No. Don't let nobody know we talked about this.
Oh, right. Yeah, I mean, I guess it happens, right? It's a shame. But, yeah, they all go to this thing called, I forget the name of it, MIPCOM. It's something they all go to in New Mexico. And then there's other stuff they go to in Arizona. I guess there's conferences like this across the country. So, yeah, but.
Yeah, I'm kind of a little bit into everything.
That's wonderful. I love that you're so open. That's so important. But yeah, I mean, going back to the acting, I guess I've had to be open too. I've done all sorts of things, and I'm very excited about my other project, Nation's Fire. It's going to be distributed by Universal. It's a wonderful film. Very strong female roles in this film. Our lovely mutual friend, the lovely and amazing Lorene Landon. Big shout out to Lorene Landon for you, Rodney, and for having the honor of working with her. She's incredible in this film. She gets to star. She's opposite Bruce Dern, two-time Oscar nominee Bruce Dern. He plays her husband in the film, and they have some very, very moving scenes together. I wasn't on set those days, but those were very, very moving scenes. Of course, so Lorene's in it, Bruce Dern's in it, Emmy winner Gil Bellows is in it, UFC champion Chuck Liddell, a lot of the cast of Sons of Anarchy, because it's a kind of a motorcycle film, and the film stars Krista Grotta, who's amazing in it. She was in Checkpoint and lots of other films, and it was written, directed, and produced by the fabulous Thomas J. Churchill. This will be the third time I'm working with him. I worked with him on some other projects, so I'm very, very excited to be a part of that. And it's just, even the role that I play, I have a supporting role. Even the role I play is very powerful and strong. I remember saying, why can't I be the substitute teacher? It was this big burly guy, I think from Brooklyn or Queens. And he's like, no, that's so stereotypical that you're going to be the teacher, the substitute teacher. He's like, I want you to be the school security guard. And I'm like, I don't really think I'm school security guard material. I'm 5'4", like 115 pounds. I just don't see it. And he's like, no. If you go by any schools, you'll see that there's a lot of school security guards are women, and sure enough, there's a lot of schools in my neighborhood. You never notice it. It's like when you buy a car and you see everybody has like a Toyota and you have a Toyota. It's the same thing. Like I saw all these women, these like little itty-bitty women that were school security guards, so go figure. So that was great. I was really excited and honored to work with Churchill. There's some delightful actors on this film, very, very talented. It was just a wonderful experience, and it was, my scenes were shot in Los Angeles, so that was great. It was just a wonderful experience. I truly, truly enjoyed it. I can't wait to the premiere because I look forward to meeting Chuck Liddell. I'm a big fan. And, of course, the others that I haven't met, but just very, very excited about that one.
Oh, yeah. It sounds like you're staying very busy.
I am, and what I love about this is my character's name is Joan. It's not like Habiba or, like Nasreen, or it's, lately I've been playing American roles. I was Haley in Holy Terror. So lately it's been great. I love that I can diversify my character roles. I'm always happy to be the character, and I'll tell you why. When I first came to town and when I was starting my acting career, all the roles for women are horror. There's always the girl that's the lead girl, right? And there's always the friend. All the girls that I did a lot of horror when I came here, so much so I don't even think all of it's on IMDb. But when I did the horror, like none of those girls that were like the leading ladies are in horror anymore. I think it's very unfortunate, but leading actresses have a shelf life of age 25. But I also think it's a tough industry. And I think a lot of people, a lot of girls probably settled down. I think they're all moms now. And they all moved back to whence they came from. So I feel bad that they're not in the business, but I'm grateful that I'm a character actor because I can always keep doing this. There's always going to be something for me, and it's always going to be interesting. So I really, really enjoyed that. And I think as a character actor, one has to improvise a lot. And I studied improv at UCB. One of the founders was Amy Poehler from Parks and Rec and SNL. I haven't had the opportunity to meet or improv with her. I would love to do that. But I studied there, and I think improv really helps out because oftentimes, you're in a character get-up or you're in, a crazy location, and you just got to make it work. And oftentimes they want you to improvise, and I think it adds a real element to something that is not real. So that's been a wonderful experience. I also worked on the film Hybristophilia with this really talented Haitian director, Romain Simon, and it starred Quentin Aaron from The Blind Side. He was the tall African-American fellow, Big Mike from The Blind Side with Sandra Bullock. He's a really renowned actor. So I got to work on that film. There were other great working actors on that film, Sadie Katz, Jenna Willis, Massey Furlan, Iyad Hajjaj. He's a big Middle Eastern actor. So it was great to work with them. Romain is very talented. That was another wonderful experience. And I played a Latina character. I had no accent. I just played a reporter lady, but I had a Latina name. He really wanted to emphasize diversity in this film, and I really enjoyed it because my character interviews Iyad's character, and I believe he's of Palestinian descent. And I said, well, he's going to be like a terrorist? He's like, no. I was like, well, what is he going to be? He's like, well, he's like a State Department representative. I'm like, so what is his name, like Omar or something? He's like, no, he just has a standard name. It doesn't mean anything. I'm like, is he a double spy? Because those roles are so stereotypical. But what I like about it is because he's foreign, he made it interesting. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a one-sided, okay, I'm this Middle Eastern guy and I'll be the good guy or the bad guy or the double agent. He was just, the State Department representative or whomever that I was interviewing or Homeland Security representative. So that was a wonderful experience. I love Quentin. He's such a nice guy. He actually came to one of the events that the charity that I'm an ambassador for, Artists for Trauma, had. I've gotten to know the cast. Massey is fabulous. The ladies are amazing. It was just a real honor to be working with these actors. That was a great experience as well.
Wow. Well, has any of the filming, the locations that you've been to, been any exotic or dangerous places that you've been?
Holy Terror was pretty dangerous because, to be honest, we shot it in a church basement. It was there aren't a lot of basements in Southern California. It's kind of a non-basement place, I'm assuming, because of earthquakes. But they had this really dark, creepy basement, and we had to film in that basement. But the problem was they found the location like less than a week before shooting. Less than a week before Christmas and days before shooting. They happened upon the location. They're like, we like this better. Problem was it was a very conservative church. And they said, okay, you can film your movie here, but what is the film about? Can we see a script? Normally it's like a 30-day process. You have to apply. You have to go through the board. It's a very, very renowned and conservative Christian church, and I won't give away the name because I'm so scared somebody's going to listen in and tell them. But my character was basically exercised in a basement. We had to kind of embellish things and say, oh, you know, the film is about a minister who has a crisis of conscience. That's true, but the crisis of conscience involves my character, who they have to exercise. So, you know, it's a week before Christmas. The choir is practicing upstairs. They're, you know, wrapping Christmas gifts for the poor in the other room, doing, you know, like serving food to the homeless and all the wonderful things this incredible church does. Meanwhile, I'm like screaming and shrieking in the basement, shouting obscenities in various languages. Gregory and the director thought it would be great if I could do it in Arabic and Farsi, because the first demon, I guess, was traced in Baghdad or something. I did it in Latin as well. I did it a little bit in English. I kind of didn't want to give it away, but I had to, like, disguise my green face. So that really wasn't an exotic location, but it kind of felt like one because, you know, I was, like, in disguise, and then they covered me up with a blanket when they took me upstairs, and then the guy that was on the board of the church, a very well-respected businessman, he's like, why is there, like, pieces of green paint on you? You know, I was possessed. So that was kind of interesting. But most of the locations I'm in are pretty standard. For Nation's Fire, it was at a school because I was a school security guard. I'm trying to think of exotic places. I think when I first moved here and I did a lot of horror films, I'd be working in, like, the creepiest looking mansions. LA is a city where there's a lot of new things. I think back east where we're from, like, 100 and 200-year-old houses are not such a big deal. But I filmed in like the Adams district, and there's like really old houses, and you could feel an energy. I mean, I would assume that people passed or perished in these homes. The Adams district is a historical district. It's about over 100 years old. So I think when I first came to town, it was more exotic for me. Another film that I shot years ago was like, it was funny. They housed us in this deadbeat motel downtown, and the character I played was a lady of the night. It was opposite, what's the name of John Lithgow's son was in the movie, and Martin Cove was in the movie. And I was a lady of ill repute. I was like a streetwalker, me and some other actresses. And they put us up in this motel, you know, for hair and makeup and wardrobe. But, you know, I would leave the motel room, and I'd be scantily clad. They couldn't see, you know, my mic or anything. They just assumed that I was a prostitute, and somebody wanted to hit me up, you know, thinking, oh, this woman is a prostitute, you know, that I just left somebody's motel room. They didn't know that we were filming the room. So I guess part of me was flattered that I would, you know, they thought that I was an actual prostitute, but I guess I shouldn't be flattered that I look like a prostitute. But it was a real deadbeat motel. There was like all these homeless people outside, and there was a stench, and I guess it was a cheap place to shoot at. But the name of the movie is Rice Girl, and it was Pat Morita's last movie. But in terms of exotic locales, I think that's the most exotic it got for me.
Wow. That's awesome.
I think my journalism career was much more exotic. When I worked for my CBS and ABC affiliate before I was a PA there, and I did the graveyard shift, I did a lot of undercover stories, and you'd appreciate this. They sent us to, this is well before the cell phone, camera phone age. This is dating myself. But they sent me to a section of Northeast D.C. when temp tags, people would buy illegal temp tags, was a big deal. And they sent me, and the only way they would send interns is the other guy was a former cop, very like a younger version of Morgan Freeman, very like strong, powerful guy. You know, he had a real presence. I'll never forget his name, Bernard. And kind of like a cross between like a younger Morgan Freeman, more like Wesley Snipes, I guess. And then we go for, and I dress up like, this is going to be so racist, but like a music video girl, like a slutty music video woman. You know, I guess I had the big hoochie mama earrings, Puerto Rican. I stuffed everything I could, my behind, my front, my everything. I had to look like a skanky woman, right? So him and I, he was dressed like a thug. I was dressed like, I don't know, a slutty woman. We go to get these temp tags. This is undercover. We were all like mic'd and wearing hidden cameras. So we went undercover to this place in Northeast, and they're like, this is going to be so racist. They're like, I think my journalism career was more exciting. They're like, the I trust the white bitch, but that black guy is a narc. He's a narc. That asshole is a fuzz. I didn't know that fuzz meant cops. And then I heard bullets, and then I heard the guy next to me, Bernard, say, run, run, and we ran. But my point is, they thought that me, the little nerdling that I am, they thought I was legit, but they could tell that he was a narc. So I guess, that was one of the most exciting experiences in my life. We had to climb over a barbed wire fence. I never felt so alive. But in terms of, and there were dogs barking. In terms of exotic locations, I think that corner of Northeast D.C., I wish I could replicate that scene, is the most exciting. I don't think it's that exciting for me because I'm a character actor, and, it's very planned out where you shoot things, where things are done. I think the life of a freelance journalist or a field reporter is much more exciting. I probably would have had 20 heart attacks by now had I pursued that as a living. But yeah, that in terms of excitement, that's what I got for you, Rodney. Most of the time I'm on a sound stage or, it's a rented facility of some sort or a hospital or something. Usually abandoned hospitals, abandoned airports, but it's not that exciting because, there's security everywhere, even on the small shoots.
Well, that's good.
Yes.
Well, what is it really like to work in Hollywood as an actress?
The old adage is so true to hurry up and wait. It's a lot of hurrying up and a lot of waiting. You hurry, rush to get the jobs. You go on auditions. You go on meetings. You have your representation help you. I have great representation. Big shout out to my wonderful manager, Joe Williamson, who also reps lovely Lorene Landon and Mel Novak and a lot of other amazing people. He works very hard for me. So it's a lot of hurrying up to these meetings and a lot of waiting on set. You're there for 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, even more sometimes. So it's a lot of hurrying up and waiting. It's a lot of I think a person has to be a really good taskmaster because you're always learning lines or you're reading scripts. I could be like a script expert. I could be like a script reader. You're reading scripts. You're going over scripts. You're waiting to hear back on scripts. You're at table reads. It's not as glamorous. It's not like I'm sitting at the, Beverly Hills Hotel or the Beverly Hilton with a margarita in my hand, sitting by the pool under an umbrella or a pina colada or whatever it is that they do, and big, thick sunglasses. I mean, once in a while I'll go to events and stuff for my own charities and whatnot, but I'm always working it and trying to make things happen. So it's not as glamorous as one thinks. It's also a lot of what I've learned in the past year. I had a terrible ulcer. Is a lot of self-care. I'm getting really back into fitness, Pilates, yoga. So you have to take care of yourself. And it's a lot of running around, a lot of driving on freeways, lots of Ubers and Lyfts to get going. So lots of auditions in muggy rooms across Los Angeles because it's summer, and I'm in the Valley. So, but I'm very grateful for it. But it's quite a life. It never really slows down, even though it's summer. So, and I'm grateful for it. And I love character roles, and I love the pursuit of the character and the journey of the character, if you will.
Well, what are the pitfalls and the dark side of Hollywood, and has it affected you in any way?
Yes. There are many scams in Los Angeles. Luckily, I have not been a part of any of them, but there's always desperation. There's always scams. There's a lot of people that want to take advantage, especially of women. One has to be very careful of that. There's what I call it for any career is there's a lot of people that waste your time. I'm sure you found that in your careers, people that just want to, shoot the whatever and just waste your time and flap their gums. I think especially for women, the window is, I hate to say it, but it's more limited. So I think it's very important not to get involved with time wasters or, projects that never go anywhere or films that you're a part of that are never going to get made. I just think it's wasteful, and it's like sitting around waiting for the guy to call when you're in high school, when men used to actually call women, gentlemen callers. So I think a lot of it is the waiting around. A lot of it is the hype that people make up. I won't even go to the darker stuff. I mean, the club life is probably really dark. I don't really I'm not really a part of that. I'm not into the clubbing thing, but I would assume that a lot of actors, they get hooked. I've met my fair share that have been in AA or NA or, not just actors, people that work behind the scenes. So, of course, there's that element. Of course, there's lots of cults here. I won't even get into them because it's very controversial. But there's always things you have to be careful of. It's, you find your neighborhood in Los Angeles because it's so vast. You can't be everywhere all the time. You find your neighborhood, you stick with it. Hopefully, you get to work in that neighborhood a lot. And hopefully, when you're on set, you don't have to go, during rush hour to set, because you could be stuck in your car for over 2 hours. But, it is what it is. I think the worst part of it, of everything, I mean, there's bad people everywhere, there's good people everywhere, but I think the worst part of everything is the traffic, I'll be honest. Getting around. It can take over your day. Like, I'm in the San Fernando Valley, but if I have something to do in Santa Monica, my day is gone, basically.
Oh, I know. Oh, believe me, I know the traffic out there. That's the reason why I like driving it. I didn't have much trouble with traffic. Yep.
You were a trucker and you don't even like driving there.
No, well, I mean, I like California. I love the people that I met there. I know when I would speak, they're like, "Where are you from?" And I'm like, "Virginia." Do they all talk like that? I said, "Well, the section where I live, yeah. The rest of them, no. They got a little more of a. They still have a little bit of an accent, but not as bad as mine." And they drag me a little bit.
I like your accent, Rodney. I wish I had my accent. I had a little trace of Mid-Atlantic, but I feel like it's gone.
Yeah, it sounds like you. Yeah, I can still hear a little bit of it.
Really? I get that a lot. I was just talking to a friend of mine from back home the other day, and she's like, "Boy, I can still hear it. Certain words, the way you color certain words is you're definitely from Maryland. We haven't lost you completely, but yeah, I think your accent is delightful. Too bad you don't do dialect tapes. Too bad that's become a thing of the past. You'd be a great Virginian accent."
I don't know about that, but I thank you.
No, it's wonderful. It's great. It's fabulous. It reminds me of home. Though I don't know if I've been to your part of Virginia. I might have driven through on the way to West Virginia. So you're not near Richmond.
No. Do you know where Roanoke is?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm about an hour and a half west of Roanoke.
I keep forgetting how big Virginia is. I mean, it's no California, but it's pretty big.
It's pretty big, and I see a lot of people, they think of Roanoke up to D.C. is Virginia, but I'm on that little I call it, the little nipple part of Virginia that.
Very funny. Yes.
That people
You're
forget.
A character. Yeah, I see. Okay, I totally know where you're from now. I get it. There's a lot of filming in Virginia. Some big casting director, I forget her name, she's in Virginia, but I think it's more Richmond area.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know I've talked to a few people. There's a town here that it's an old coal town, and it still looks like it's set back in the 1920s.
Wow.
And I've talked to a few people like, if you're looking to do a horror movie or some time type movie in the 20s or 30s, this time period, yeah, it'd be a great place. But, nothing ever falls through, but that's all right.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will.
I'm sure somebody will hit it one of these days. I know they did a Maxwell House commercial there back in the 80s.
Oh, I believe it.
And it was a big thing around here. And they also shot a movie here with George C. Scott, but I can't remember the name of the movie. I was actually at the store. See, George C. Scott's from Virginia. He's actually from a couple counties down below me.
No wonder he's just so real. He refused to accept his Oscar. He didn't want to be, quote unquote, a puppet in the meat parade. So that's probably why he's so legit, is because he's from Virginia.
Oh, well, when they were filming, I went out to the store, which is not far from where I live, a couple miles, And it's probably about 10, 11 o'clock at night. And a deputy's car was parked there. And I walk into the store and got me a soda and walked back out. And I seen George C. Scott sitting in the police cruiser. And I'm like, holy shit. And, you know, he had the window down. And he's like, I heard you. I'm like, oh, my God.
Wonderful.
He's like, are you going to shake my hand or what? And I'm like, I can't move.
Oh, that's such a great story. I love that you saw him back home.
It was amazing. I went over, got to, shook his hand and stuff, and, and spoke to him and asked him how the movie was going. And he's like, they're working me to death. I'm too damn old for this shit.
Oh, that's so cute. That's such a great story. Too bad it was before the camera phone era. That would have been a great photo. But it seems like the memory is etched in your mind.
Oh, it is. It is. It was a great memory because, it was just me, him, and, in my little neck of the woods, someone as great of an actor as, he
yeah,
is.
He's the ultimate legendary actor, and he seemed like a really upstanding kind of guy. So that's wonderful.
Yeah, it was great. It was such a huge honor. Well, I know this is going to go a 180 from what we were just talking about.
Sure.
But have you ever done nude scenes, or what are your thoughts about actors that do nude scenes, or would you ever consider doing a nude?
I think it's grand for some people, but I'm a character actress, so it is what it is, and I think our society has really loosened up. But like I said, most of my career I've been covered. I've been covered so much that when I started working on projects where I wasn't in a hijab, that I felt like I was naked. I mean, I'm not a Muslim or anything. More power to whatever religion people want to practice. But I was so used to being covered on camera that when I was wearing like a regular, normal outfit, it was weird for me because I was so used to being covered. So I guess I'm the opposite end of the spectrum. Because they're always putting me in like a suit. I'm usually like an official or a waitress, or even when I was a prostitute, I was dressed. I was wearing a really short skirt and a really low cut tank top, but I was dressed. Or even when I've played like bimbos in horror films and I'm friends with the lead bimbo, I'm still clothed. Thankfully, knock on wood. Thank you. There's so many beautiful, bodacious, leggy, busty women to be seen naked. It's not necessary for me, really. People are not missing much. So, I'm just glad to be doing what I'm doing. I think also because my parents are from another culture, that's not something that I would particularly explore. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. But more power to the women that are, forever they'll be memorialized, forever 21 or forever 30 or however old they will be when they do something like that. So that's everything is going to sag eventually. So I tip my hat to them. No judgments.
I agree. So what do you feel is your greatest weakness as an actress, and what are your greatest strengths as an actress?
Well, I don't know if it's a weakness, but it was a lack of experience. Most of what I did as a Middle Eastern woman was mostly, believe it or not, comedy. It would be like a lot of comedic satire. So I guess my strengths were comedy, and not for it being a weakness, but for a lack of doing it. Not a lot of experience with drama until the past few years. I've been growing more into dramatic roles. So I think I have a comedy background. I have an improv background. I have a sketch comedy background. I have a bit of a comedy writing background. So I think that was the natural progression for me. And I think getting seen for dramatic roles and getting accepted for dramatic roles took a lot of convincing. If I wasn't like a Muslim hijab lady or something, it took a while to break into those. I think when you start in Hollywood, you start with one thing you're strong at, and then you bridge out into different areas. And I think that's been it for me. Another difficulty is, as I mentioned earlier with voiceover, is that a lot of the celebrities are voicing big promos now. And virtually anybody with a phone and a microphone that works, as opposed to mine that did not work, can access the Internet and do these incredible things and for very little money. So there's a lot of excess competition that is very undervalued in the field of voiceover, and it's getting rougher and rougher. And for the really good stuff, one is competing with a big celebrity, so that's just something to be considered as well, which is understandable. They need the name actors to do these roles, so that's completely understandable.
Well, speaking of your voiceover, did you have to be trained, or are there any special techniques or any certain type of skill?
Yes, I've trained with a lot of people, and usually I would train at voiceover can be very costly because you have to train at a voiceover studio, and there's an engineer there. I did voiceover workout groups for years where you pay $20, $30 a night for the studio rental and for the engineer, and you're with other seasoned actors. My mentor in voiceover, this wonderful man, he's rep by William Morris. He narrates a show on Discovery, or a couple shows on Discovery, and Doug Rye, he referred me to the voiceover group. There's renowned actors in it. I did that for a while, and then they changed locations, and I don't know, I think a lot of them were old-timers and they retired. But one of my mentors, Ivy Bethune, she's a really amazing actress. She was on the blacklist in the 1950s. She was Russian, and they're like, oh, you're a communist, which she admits to being, but she's like, my real name is Raisa. I'm from Russia. I'm bound to be a communist. So she was blacklisted for many years, but an incredible actress. The Tri-Union, SAG, AFTRA, and Equity Diversity Awards were named after her. So she was somebody that, she didn't train me, but we were, colleagues. So I was in the same group as her. I studied under Chris Allport, Mari Weiss, Doug Rye. I studied with some wonderful people in voiceover, and I really enjoyed it. I wish I could do more. I just, I don't have the time, but I would like to take, an intensive here and there. So that was a wonderful experience, and I really enjoyed that, and working with various voiceover coaches and workshops and seminars. So, yeah, I really worked hard at that for many years.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Well, can you discuss any, movies or TV shows that you have, recently been cast in? I know sometimes when I speak to actors and actresses on the show, when I ask that question, they're like, oh, no, I can't answer it.
Gotcha. Well, of course, as I mentioned, and I'm going to keep plugging this, Nation's Fire, which will be coming out, I guess, hopefully in the fall. It's a Universal film, distributed by Universal. There's a lot of stuff that I'm actually working on. Let's see. I will be working on Copperhead Creek. That'll be my first Western with one of the Van Patten boys. And I'm very excited. It's Rick Grote's film, and the lovely Donnelly Heising is in it. Mel Novak, James Van Patten, the famous Van Patten family. And the filmmaker is Rick Grote. And what's really cool about Rick is him and his family, their hobby is collecting Civil War uniforms. So they have the legitimate Civil War uniforms. So my little jokey joke about that film is that I get to go from hijab lady to prairie woman with a little bonnet. So I'm very excited. I get to play the sister of a Van Patten. It doesn't get any whiter than that, so I'm excited about that one. I'm also going to be in the series Scorpion Girl. I don't want to give it away, but there's some interest. I guess it's a pilot right now. That's going to be a great experience. Let's see, what else am I doing? I'm doing another project, Girl in a Coma, by a wonderful British filmmaker, and Sarita Callender, and I'm excited to work with her. I love working with women filmmakers. Once in a Lifetime, go for it. I'm also going to do 2 films with this Australian filmmaker. He's a big cult filmmaker from Australia, Mark Savage, Circus of Dread and Bond Scum. Circus of Dread stars Bill Oberst Jr. I'm also going to do 102 Warrior Queen, and that's the sequel to 100, which Lorene, who we both know, is the star of, and it's directed, written, and produced by Gregory Hatanaka. A great cast. There's Walter Koenig, Lisa London, just a renowned cast of actors that are going to be starring in this film, and I'm really excited to be a part of it. One of my distant relatives was in the original 100, and he was the producer. So very excited to be carrying on the Ghaffari family legacy. And there's a few other projects I can't really discuss, but one that I can is sometime this summer or early fall, I will be doing another voiceover. I'm so excited. It's been a little while, so I'm pleased as punch. And it's going to be like a radio play, if you will, like an old-timey, like a noir kind of piece. I'm a femme fatale. It's me versus Mel Novak. And I'm like the sassy woman that comes into the detective agency. I'm one of those, like a true femme fatale, and that's a voiceover. And it's going to be on XM Satellite Radio, the suspense show by John Aldisek, and it's gotten 3 Peabody Award nominations. So the writing is really strong, and Mel is a really strong actor. So I'm excited to be working with him again on that one, and that should be out in late. It should be worked on, shot on in late August, early September, and it should be out soon after.
Wow. Like I said, you're a busy lady.
I'm trying to be, Rodney. In addition to that, I'm on the board of Artists for Trauma. We're going to have some great events coming up. They're the official charity of California Rehab Institutes, and Artists for Trauma was founded by a trauma survivor who's an incredible woman, Laura Sharp. Laura Sharp is an inspiration to us all, and we're going to have some great events. There's going to be a fashion show this fall at Macy's that I'll be co-hosting with the wonderful Fort Austin. I'm also going to be on a panel this summer about pitfalls in the horror filmmaking world with my wonderful entertainment attorney, Vida Ghaffari. We're going to be part of this panel. I guess I'm going to be moderating it. And then I'm also going to be the MC at the Wonder Women Tech. It's a huge conference. BuzzFeed and all the big names, GE, will be there. It was started by a wonderful woman, Lisa Marie Brunson. She loves supporting other women. And I'm going to be the main stage MC. Very excited about that. And then I'm going to be a presenter at the Nollywood Awards, which I mentioned earlier, which I was honored last year. So it's a busy time. It's an exciting time. I'm really excited about everything. But first up is the Moda LA, Moda 360, and then there's Scare LA, Wonder Women Tech, and then Nollywood's on the 26th of August. So it'll be a great summer with the fashion show and then the Artists for Trauma charity event in October. So keeping myself busy with my charity work as well.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I love doing the charity work. It's always great, and it's also fulfilling.
Very fulfilling.
A lot of people right here, I just have to hand them a check, privately where they don't know it's from Black Diamond.
Oh, right.
Yeah. But they'll take my money that I help raise.
Yeah, they will take your money. I like giving time in because the money, so the charities I'm with, I've vetted, they're all great. But some charities, it's like, you get all the letters in the mail, you're like, huh? What about all the money you spend, with all these fancy schmancy marketing materials? I never really get involved with those charities. I think the bigger the charity, one has to be wary of.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say it.
I help with a little bit of some local charities.
I love local charities, yes. Mm-hmm.
These deal with, battered women and children, and a lot of people in this area. They're happy that we have a shelter that helps these women and these children, but they don't want it to be a blight on the community, which I think is, such being assholes about it. But we did an event one time. We did a spaghetti dinner, and I was going around town and asking, I think it was $5 for a spaghetti and like meal. And my lawyer, I went to my lawyer. I knew he would buy this, but my lawyer told me to get out of his office, that he does not support these people, and that they ain't nothing but trash. And I fired that summit on the spot.
Oh, wow!
I'm like, you are not talking about these women that cannot help the situation they're in. And a little bit of help, you're wealthy. Quit being an asshole.
Right, of course. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you don't support it, then lucky I'm gone.
Exactly. Oh, I love the way you talk. It's great. You have such candor with yourself. That's really important.
Well, it's got me in a lot of trouble too, and got me in a lot of trouble. So it works both ways.
You think you get in the trouble because of where you live, or you get in the trouble because of the nature of what you do? Oh,
I
what's the biggest thing? Like, I think it's more your location.
well, it is the location. It's where I'm open-minded. I support gay rights. I support.
Wow, you're very open-minded.
Very. I support immigrants coming here
Wow, you're in the wrong place.
Oh, you ain't a kidding. You just, like I said, you wouldn't believe the arguments I have, and these are people I grew up with. I thought we were open-minded. I even told them this. We just had a 30-year reunion, and
but don't you think in this? I mean, I hate to get political, but don't you think in this administration people are showing themselves?
Yeah, because he opened the door. He opened the floodgates to show.
He opened the door to. I mean. Political correctness was too much in the 90s, I admit, but he opened the door so we're the opposite now. The complete opposite. And not even like in an honest, real way, like in a bad, nasty way. God, I hate to get political, but I am.
Well, I love political. I'm sorry. I love politics. I'm not a religious person, but I was raised in a church, and I love to go about with people over religion.
So how can you be from Virginia and raised in a religious family and not into going to church? Isn't that blasphemous in Virginia where you are?
It is, but I read books.
I'm not thinking you did it, but that's wonderful. So was your family liberal, or were they conservative? Are you like the black sheep of the Shortridge family?
I'm the black sheep of the Shortridge family.
Wow. So how is it like now? Is it rough, like at Christmas and Thanksgiving, like when you're at a table for an extended period of time and they get to talking? Like, how does that fare for you?
Well, it depends on the topic. A lot of them will not bring up anything to do with religion or politics if I'm at the table. They just like, no, because where I'm so passionate about my beliefs that they can't debate it. They get so frustrated at me that they're just like, well, it just ain't worth the fight. And I'm like, well, why isn't it worth the fight? You're sitting here telling me this when I know it contradicts what it's saying in the book.
Right.
And as you can see how the world is, turning and how people are turning against each other and religions are fighting. I said, let me explain one thing to you. And I'm serious when I get upset with them. I said, one word can explain all the world's problems right now. One word. And they're like, what? I'm like, religion. They're like, huh? What? Huh? I'm like, religion. You've got Muslims that believe a certain way, Christians believe a certain way, Jews believe a certain way. Everybody believes a certain way. And then if you don't believe a certain way, you're condemned or you're going to hell. And I said, now they've even brought up to the next level. And this has went on for thousands of years, killing each other over you not believing the way I believe.
That's so
that's
true.
Bullshit.
Right.
I'm like, how could a God create man to just murder each other because somebody interprets certain writings a different way than the others?
Right. Yeah, it's funny. I feel very blessed in that I come from a very secular family, very culturally Middle Eastern, like in terms of being polite and all that stuff, but extremely secular. My mom is, I guess she's a hopeful agnostic, and my dad was a complete atheist. He was a man of science. So I feel lucky in that I was never really pushed or nudged into anything. So that was really nice for me. And, I'll tell you, where we grew up is very conservative. I mean, I'm more Maryland. I think Maryland is more liberal. But it was conservative, and I'll tell you why. One of my strongest memories growing up is I'd have my friends come over, and I'd watch I love Three's Company reruns. I actually interviewed John Ritter's son at an event. So, and I mentioned, I was like, where I grew up in Maryland, I was the only kid. My sister and I were the only ones allowed to watch Three's Company. And because of the subject line, not because he was gay. I mean, he wasn't gay. He was pretending to be gay. But because it was a man living with two women. And I thought that was so interesting. I thought I grew up in a really liberal place. But that's not the case. So it was very interesting to me how conservative it was. And my little Iranian parents would let me watch these shows, but all my little friends, Christina and everyone else, couldn't watch these shows. And they're like, we really want to watch it, but I'm worried our parents will find out. And I'm like, gosh, my parents are, like, I was like, wow, they're such open-minded people. I saw Midnight Cowboy as a kid. I can't believe it. It's a movie about male prostitution and pimps, but I got away with watching it. I think another thing was it was after the revolution, and my parents were trying to help people come here. My dad was kind of like the patriarch of the family. My mom was like the matriarch. And my dad, by being a professor, got to know a lot of professors by cold calling them. This was the 80s, and trying to get these Iranians into these universities. And one day I said, many years later, I'm like, this is before the internet, you had to like actually call places. I said to him, was it because of the whole hostage thing? He's like, no, a lot of them didn't know English very well, and they didn't want to take the TOEFL exam. They just wanted an easy in. So it's like he went to all this trouble, and I just assumed it was for one reason instead of the other. But I feel like, it's not like they abandoned me, but they were busy, helping people acclimate to this country. And I see that with the whole refugee thing going on. Like, part of me feels guilty that I was born here and I was never a refugee. I'm very grateful that I was born here. I love this country. My dad was the ultimate immigrant, only drove American cars. But I never had that experience of coming over with the 2 suitcases. But believe you me, I saw it. And then with a travel ban, it was very scary to me. And it's funny because I come across people, and I'm in Southern California, where I was at a party recently, and someone I know was talking about people being detained. And I did not know this person was a Trump supporter, a really gung-ho Trump supporter. And he's like, well, I don't know what the story is, Rodney. I don't know. Would I be detained? I was born here, but my parents, it says Tehran, Iran on their passports. Maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't. I think if you have a parent or a grandparent, and I got 2 parents that were both born there, even if a grandparent is born there, it's a part of the travel ban. They've detained people, I know. But anyway, long story short, I'm like, well, what if I was to travel? What if I was detained? I was supposed to cover Vietnam Fashion Week, but I was too sick. My ulcer was acting up. He's like, well, that's for the greater good of this country that you were detained. You would have been detained. I think you, Vida Ghaffari, should have been detained if you went to Vietnam Fashion Week. I'm like, but I was born and raised in this country. My dad worked for the U.S. government. We would have been much better off if he stayed in Iran, and he could have run the oil company or like become some political person. Or this is before the revolution. My sister worked for the government. She was a Clinton appointee. So you think I should be detained? He's like, well, if it's for the greater good. And he would not stop talking about it. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm probably more American than you are, mister. I was born in the nation's capital. So it was a really strange time for me. It reminded me of things I saw in my childhood. So it's a crazy world we're in, and the undercurrent of political correctness is completely gone, and people just say what they want to say. It's scary, and a lot of my friends in D.C., even the Republicans, they can't handle what's going on. It's strange for them,
Oh yeah, it's bad. And I seen where a guy was a little video on Facebook.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me try that. Does that work?
This works, yes.
Okay. Well, he was asking people 3 questions about American history, and it had to do with Independence Day, for July 4th, and I posted up on my Facebook page, and some people in this area, kind of got pissy with me, and they're like, "Well, that's them dumbasses out there in California. They don't teach them nothing. They don't know no better." I'm like, I will put this to the test. So I've been asking people around that I know, doctor's appointments, bank tellers, just random people that I go to, the grocery store and so forth. I'll ask them these 3 questions about, name me 3 of the founding fathers. Most of the time, they'll mention George Washington, and then the next one's Abraham Lincoln. I'm like, what? No, what?
That's pretty big of a gap. Yeah.
A huge gap. And I asked them, I said, do you know the year the Declaration of Independence was signed?
Oh my God.
And everybody,
76.
they're like, they're 18. I'm like, nope, not even. No, you're in there.
Oh
No,
my
wrong century.
God.
And then I'll ask them, name me the 3 branches of government, and they just look at me like I'm a dumbass. And I'm like, this is my point. Civics is not being taught in America. It's sad that you people raising mortal shit about these refugees or these people coming across in Mexico that want to be American citizens know more about our country's history than you.
It's a shame. The Daily Show did a special where they went on this is during the Obama administration. They went on street corners in Manhattan. They asked all these questions about Iran. Nobody could answer. They asked these questions about, like, who's the Speaker of the House? Nobody could get it. One guy got the name of the president of Iran, who was a terrible, terrible person. But when they went to Iran, everybody knew who the Senate Majority Leader was. They knew all these things. And they're like, oh, is this for the Daily Show? We're big fans of, this is when Jon Stewart was hosting it. We're big fans of yours, John. So I thought that was very interesting. Other countries really care. And I think the wall thing is terrible. The California, didn't it belong to Mexicans originally? It's surprising that Spanish is a second language. This was originally their land. Aren't they like the Native Americans of Southern California, if you will? So I think it's
California, New Mexico, Arizona.
They built California, to most of them, to be what it is, And what really saddens me about that whole thing is I think of the young people. What is it called when they're it's not birthers, but is it birthers? When they're born there, they come here illegally, and then they'll get in like Stanford or something or Berkeley, and they can't go because they might have to go back to Mexico. They might be extradited or something. Is that the birther thing, or I'm getting it confused with the Obama birther thing? There's so much political incorrectness, I don't even know where to start.
I think it's where they come here, someone that's pregnant from Mexico or Central America or wherever, they come here to have their baby, and they're an American. The baby's an American, so they call them also anchor babies.
That's probably what it is. Yeah, you know your politics better than I am. I've been in the California sun for too long, probably.
But it is. It's so sad, and I hear so many people, especially with my show, that they say, well, you have too many liberals on. And I'm like, well, a lot of the conservative people don't even want. I'm like, Lorraine, she's a big Trump supporter, and she's conservative, and I'm like, there you
but
go.
She's not your
one.
typical, I don't think she'd want me to be detained. I don't think she'd want some anchor baby who's getting into, Berkeley to be detained. I think she does support him fiscally, but I don't think she's that conservative.
Right. This is the thing that gets me with my area.
I think a California conservative is like nothing compared to where we're from. It's like a different story. You know what I mean? I think it's like a California conservative is like what, a Reagan Republican or like a Nixon Republican, who ironically they both are from California. But that's besides the point. But it's a different ball of wax. I think it's so different. East Coast and West Coast conservative, and East Coast and West Coast liberals, I think, are very different too.
What
do you think of Bernie? You probably loved Bernie, right?
Oh, I love Bernie. I did.
What a good man.
I was so torn between him and Hillary. I know Hillary had a lot of baggage, but oh my gosh, it's a hell of a lot better than what we got now.
Oh my God, yes. Oh my God, you're so open-minded. Just the fact that she's married to a former president, that's like 2 for 1. It's getting a 2 for. But yeah, I mean, my sister was a Clinton appointee, and after all that stuff that came out, she's like, well, I'm not for Trump, but it's just, I'm not. With Benghazi, it was very hard for her to trust. I think Benghazi ruined it for a lot of people. I really do. I really, really do. And then the email hacking thing, but I think it's hard for women, and I hate to come off as a whiny woman, but I think if she was a man, it wouldn't have been as challenging for her, and she wouldn't have been bashed so much in the media. Lots of jokes at her expense. She wasn't perfect, with her $300 haircuts, but she was a first lady. It would have been an interesting part of our history. But I was more into Bernie, a little too socialist, but I still really liked him. I thought he had a really big heart. I love that thing where he's giving a lecture and the little bird sits on his podium. You know, that when he's giving a speech. Do you ever see that speech? The little bird sits right behind him. I thought it was really like something you see out of like Bambi or something, you know, the little bird coming over to him. But, you know, he was the first U.S. leader, if you will, to apologize for the coup in Iran in the early 1950s. There was a democratic government that got ousted. The U.S. was behind it. But he was the first U.S. president or U.S. official to apologize for that. And he said, you know, that's why we have so many problems in that region. You know, it started with Iran, and then now look at ISIS and look at, you know, the Taliban and all that stuff. You know, you topple one country, and then everything else, it's like a domino effect, falls apart. Nobody has ever, you know, people have admitted to wrongdoings in the Middle East, but nobody ever gave an explanation like that. He was a good man, maybe too good to be president, but what a great guy. All the things he was going to do. And look at it now. We might all lose health care, you know, the Obamacare thing. People work so hard for. I mean, I have mixed feelings about Obamacare because in California, lots of my friends got it, and they don't get full coverage, or a lot of the things, there's lots of inconsistencies. But, you know, I believe in heart, and I think there was a lot of heart behind it. But I think the Democrats, they always get unhinged due to the health care thing. Remember Clinton with the health care reform, and then Obama. So I think it's a real shame.
I agree. And see, the people here in Virginia, in the surrounding states where I'm close, like West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, you know, they all voted for him except Virginia, thank goodness. But my area voted for Trump overwhelmingly. And and I told them all, you're voting against your own interests. You know, he's going to take away, you know, Obamacare. They're going to do it. They're going to try every way they can. And the people here
he got the middle class. I don't know how he did that whole "Every Man Make America Great" thing, but that's what he did. He got it, and now all that stuff with Russia, and it's just going to be. I feel like a lot of issues are going to be ignored. And you know, when my sister was an appointee, was in the Department of Education, and you know, she was so disenfranchised with the federal government, and she wanted to directly reach young people, so she became a teacher again. She teaches at a local college. But that's how affected she was by the bureaucracy, and this was during the Clinton administration. And when she found out that DeVos was, you know, basically bought her way in, she was outraged, because there's so many brilliant people in Washington that could have had that position, and it was just gifted to her. And, of course, she's a daughter of a billionaire married to another billionaire. So there you have it. Money squawks.
Money does squawk, and you know it's sad, especially in this area. You know, I'm in coal country and next to a lot of coal states, and all these people around here. You know, my father was a coal miner. I worked in the coal mines for a little bit.
Oh, God bless him and you. Wow.
I mean, you know, that's all Dad preached when I was growing up. Do not go in the mines. I'm doing this, so you and your brother don't have to. You get education and you get the hell out of here.
Wow. So is it claustrophobic? Are you there like the whole 8 hours? I mean, I guess you come up for lunch, but it must be, I know there's lung problems they get, and it's terrible.
Yeah, you know, you stay in the mines the whole time, the whole 8 hours or 12-hour shift.
Even the lunchtime?
Even at lunchtime.
I guess it's hard to get in and out, huh?
Yeah, you're eating cold dirt and a sandwich.
Oh, that's awful. There should be, you know, I always thought the coal mines were only in West Virginia. I had no idea there were some in Virginia, too.
Yep, there's some in Virginia, you know, Kentucky, Tennessee, Indiana. You know, Wyoming's the biggest coal producer in the United States. But all these people around here, you know, that's all they have. That's all these towns around here focused on was coal. They didn't diversify. Then when, you know, the coal mines left, you know, people were starving. They couldn't find jobs, or they moved away to find jobs. They're miserable. And that government funding that they get, whether it be food stamps or unemployment or...
It's all going to get cut, isn't it? Or it has been cut.
It's either going to get cut, has been cut, and what gets me is especially the younger miners that worked past 10, 15 years, uh, they were making, $80 to $100,000 a year, instead of doing like my dad and my uncles and older cousins and grandfathers did. They saved their money because they knew the mining industry is not an industry that is sustainable. That you could go to work and they tell you you're laid off. You could be laid off for a week. You could be laid off for 5 years. So they all save money. It's all they save. Now, these younger guys will go out here and buy a $300,000 home, $70,000 pickup. They got jet skis, boats, you name it. The wives won't work. They got gold on every finger and toe that you can think of. And then when their husband loses their job or gets laid off, they're blaming Obama.
Oh.
They're blaming everybody other than the coal industry and the market. You can't fight the market. If there's no demand for coal, then there's no mining coal.
Right.
So
Wow.
I've told many of them, I'm like, if you don't understand the economics of mining and coal mining and the mining business, you shouldn't be in it.
Right. Wow.
It's just like the pitfalls of any job out here. I don't care who you are, what you do, whether you're an actress or a coal miner or a truck driver or whatever. There always a possibility you won't have a job either when you go to work the next day because of either the market or something happening, and you're not guaranteed. That's the reason why I just grew up one of these people. I'm just fascinated by so much stuff that, I worked in the coal business, the oil and gas business, the printing business, the logging business, the graphic business, photography. I'm just all over the place.
Wow.
But I'm diversified.
But that's great that you can do all that stuff. You got yourself out of the coal mine.
Yep, I sure did.
So then
money
you went
was
to
great.
trucking.
Pardon?
Then you got into trucking after the coal mining, right? You got your start in the coal mining, then you went to trucking.
When I first got out of high school, I was loading coal trucks at a tipple. Then I went into the mines for about a year and laid me off. And then I started hauling. I got my CDL and started hauling mining equipment. And then that shut down. And then I started doing the long haul. And also in between, I did, got into the printing business, loved that, and the graphics. So I've been all over the place.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm doing
it's
a show.
Good you're left-brained and right-brained. Most people can't do both. I can never. So you're good with, what is it called that they use for, what is that thing that they use for graphic arts? I sound like I'm so blonde. What is that thing that they use? No offense to blonde people. That software.
Photoshop?
Duh. You must be great at Photoshop.
I'm okay. I do a lot of my photos and my groups, and some people that want me to do some photos for them, and I don't charge anything because I'm not one of these. I don't like. You can't. I just can't put a price on doing something that most of these photographers around here would charge $500 to $1,000, and I know people around here can't afford that, and so I just do it and. So, catch me on next time when you got something going on.
Right. Aw, that's nice of you. That's very generous. Very, very generous.
Well, thank you. Well, I kind of got off topic a little bit, but I was talking about you.
Oh, gosh. Well, I feel like we've there's so much we've discussed. Whatever questions you have, I'm happy to answer.
Okay. Let's see here. Who is your role model from within the acting industry and why?
It's funny, of all the people that come to my mind, people that I really admire are Doug Rye, my mentor in voiceover. He narrates lots of shows. He was rep by William Morris. He basically teaches this very inexpensive class at local community college. He doesn't need to. He makes really good money. But he is somebody whose career I really admire in voiceover. Also, Ivy Bethune, the 92-year-old lady I mentioned earlier that has the awards named after her. She was a civil rights activist, women's rights activist, an acclaimed actress. Just an interesting woman, but there's so many incredible actors. I could go on and on. The Meryl Streeps, all the incredible actors, Morgan Freeman, Will Smith. There's so much good acting coming out. Julianne Moore, such talented actresses. The Kerry Washington. There's a lot of great, strong women actresses. Viola Davis. These are all Oscar winners, but really, really good actors. I really enjoy watching their films, and I love older actors, or I hate to use the word older, mature actors working so much. There's some really renowned actors that are getting older, but they're still working a heck of a lot. So it's inspiring to see.
Well, what is the one role that you would love to play?
The one role that I would love to play, it's kind of hard because I'm at an unusual age because I'm a character actor. I don't really do that many. Knock on wood, I played an ingenue pretty much in Holy Terror, but, I go up and down in age. I think because I'm of Middle Eastern descent, this is going to be kind of kooky, but I've always wanted to play Golda Meir. She was the first female president of Israel. I'm not even Jewish. I don't think it's going to happen, but she's a very strong, powerful woman. I'd love to play someone like her. It's also a political role. It's also a Middle Eastern role. I wouldn't be wearing a hijab because she was a Jewish lady, so that's something that I really aspire to. I feel like everything has been made and done with. Maybe if Christopher Durang plays became movies, I'd do them. I love Christopher Durang. He did his own version of the Glass Menagerie called For Whom the Bell Tolls. I would love to play the young girl, the Laura character, if that ever becomes a film, but I doubt it will. He actually went to drama school with Meryl Streep. I'm a big fan of his work, but he became a renowned playwright. I'm trying to think. I love Dave Sedaris' writing, but I'm sure his sister Amy Sedaris from Kids in the Hall and Strangers with Candy would probably play herself in the movie. I'm trying to think of. I love historical figures. I doubt I'd play Queen Victoria, but that would be a great role. I'd love to play something that involves Iran, but not like of recent memory. Maybe like from a couple hundred years ago. But what would I have been, like a harem girl? Because those kings had harems with hundreds of wives, thousands of children. So I don't know, like stuff like that. I like historical characters a lot. Martha Graham, maybe. Mata Hari. But I'm a character woman. I don't know. I think I'd be happy just being a character actor in stuff that I believe in, that is good stuff. But I think Golda Meir, because it would be a character role, but it would be a lead role. I always think of what Samuel L. Jackson said, that he was a character lead. So I think that's what I would play, is like a character lead role, if that makes sense.
Well, which comic or comics would you love to do a project with, and why?
Well, you mentioned them all. I love the 80s era. It's a shame that Robin Williams is no longer with us. But I love him. I love Eddie Murphy. I love the modern day ones. There's some great comics out there. What's the name of the guy? Louis C.K. I would love to work with him. He's great in comedy and drama. He was in a Woody Allen movie, and he blew me away, and he was great in American Hustle. I'm trying to think. I really like, what is the guy that's really short? Well, I love Chris Rock. I love Dave Chappelle. Kevin Hart is the short one. I'd love to work with Kevin Hart. I love Will Ferrell. Would love to work with a lot of the former SNL people. And also I love Amy Poehler, and I love Tina Fey. That's a no-brainer. Would love to work with them. And Maya Rudolph, too. She's very funny.
Well, you're also a fashion and beauty blogger. Can you discuss, what is a fashion and beauty blogger? What do you do? I know
For
it kind
sure.
of is in a
different distinction than most bloggers in LA. I got my start in fashion journalism. I covered retail for the Dow Jones. I guess you could call me a fashion reporter, but it was really the retail beat. and I covered a lot of stories for them. But it was very rough because the economy was not so good, and a lot of stores were closing. So I basically got my start at a very rough time. Years later, it's come full circle, and then I started the blog, mostly out of people saying, "Oh, you look so spiffy at events. You must spend a fortune." And me, I'm like, "No, never." So it was a lot of my hints and tips and advice, and it just morphed into my blog, So Very Vida. And then after that, I became a speaker at events and a moderator and a MC. So a lot of good things came out of So Very Vida. And it's about fashion, but if you're budget-minded, it's for young women, or it's for all women, but mostly young women are more budget conscious. And it's, making do with what you have. And I think we're in an interesting time where you can learn anything off of YouTube, how to do your hair, how to do your makeup, which I'm, knock on wood, slowly getting better at. So we live in an interesting time, and I wanted to signify that with the blog. And, there's lots of products that I sample. I'm really good at distinguishing between things, and friends would always ask me for advice. Oh, what skin cream do you use? Oh, what shampoo do you use? What do you think of this? What do you think of that? And clothing advice. So it just morphed into the blog, and I became a little expert. And I was very flattered. Oscar season 2 years ago, I was interviewed by U.S. News and World Report about fashion, and what I loved is they interviewed me about fashion frugally during awards season. Like, what do media people do that aren't like, Maria Menounos or, at the E! Channel, like when you're on a budget, like how do you make yourself look good for award season? So that was wonderful, and I got to do that. So basically that's kind of how the blog evolved for itself.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, do you do any producing or directing of any film or TV?
I have done some producing, and I'm looking to do more. But I haven't really. It was mostly films, mostly short films. I haven't really had the chance. That's something I'd love to do, and I'd love to do projects that are women-centric. The short film I mentioned earlier, I was a producer on. But, I would love to. I would welcome it. I would love to do more of it.
Well, how supportive is your family with your career choice?
Originally not so supportive. They were very worried about me. My dad is a man of science. My mom was a teacher. My sister teaches. But they see that I'm a level-headed person. They see that I'm doing well now. They see that I was very invested in doing it, that it wasn't like a fly-by-night thing. So they're fine with it now. I wish there was more for me. It's very hard. It's a very competitive industry. And it is what it is, but it's very enriching when I get work, and they're more excited than I am. So, it is what it is, and I've always marched to the beat of my own drummer, so they've been fine with it.
Oh,
I think
awesome.
because I don't get stuck in the trappings of it. I'm not a club kid. I never was. I don't pursue the quote unquote Hollywood lifestyle. If I go to an event to support something, I don't take advantage of the open bar. I go, maybe I have a drink. Usually I don't because of my ulcer. I go support the cause, and then I just leave. I don't party hard. I'm not a weekend warrior. I'm not one of those people. So, I'm like a yoga nerd. What are they going to do, stress about me?
Well, at least you're over in a corner with a bottle of water stretching.
Exactly. Here I am with my bottle of water stretching. Exactly.
Well, here's a question. I know you kind of touched off of that at the beginning that I like to ask all my guests. Have you ever had any experiences with anything paranormal or UFO or cryptos that you like to talk about or would like?
I did have something, but I was such a doubter. I was in Palm Springs with some friends, and we were watching the stars. This was when I first moved out here many years ago. There was some star. We were just watching the stars in the desert. We were on our way to a comedy convention of all things, and we saw something, and it looked like a flying saucer, and it was really bright. And just the energy shifted, and it was very powerful. It was like the brightest light you can ever imagine, and it was very fast. So that was my one experience on route to Palm Springs. The sky is very clear in the desert. So it's not like it was a mistake. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It was very scary.
Oh,
exciting, but scary.
It is. It's kind of unnerving. You're like, I can't believe what I'm seeing.
Exactly. I mean, I'd love to see an alien. It's very funny for me because, like I said, my mom saw one, and I saw that spacecraft thing. And for the longest time, I wouldn't tell people I was ashamed, that they would think that I was crazy. You know how people are so judgmental. My dad was a NASA scientist. He did not believe in aliens and the paranormal. So, he would also make fun of me. So, God bless his soul. But I was around people like him and his friends, and I couldn't say, oh, hey, Dad, I saw a flying saucer above Palm Springs with my friends. This was before camera phones were a thing. So, you have to be very cautious with people, like you said, with your politics. You have to be very cautious about the paranormal. It wasn't until I co-hosted that show that I met a lot of those people, and I'm like, some of them are completely crazy, but some of them are pretty normal. So maybe there is something, maybe it's, but I really wouldn't go into my experiences because I really wanted to know more about theirs. They're all into compare and contrast, I'd love to be
running. I'd love to be abducted. Is that what you said?
Yeah, but no alien probe. I'd love to be abducted because I just want to see it happen. Like because I was such a disbeliever until I saw it. Like I want more. You know what I mean? It's like it's like somebody teasing you. You want more.
That's true, but that would worry me the most. I'd be like, okay, I'm a big old boy, and that is an awfully long silver shaft. What do you plan on doing with that?
That's true.
I'd be like, little guys, you got to hold up. That's where I draw the line.
Exactly.
We're running low on time. What are your plans for the rest of 2017? And can you discuss any of the projects or anything other that you haven't already discussed? Anything else?
Right.
You got
Well,
cooking?
like I mentioned, suspense show, a bunch of other projects I'm casted, and it's not even announced yet. But I'm very excited about those projects. Two are indie films. Another one is a pilot. So very excited. Can't really mention anything about that. If your listeners want to find me, they can find me at soveryvita.com, my blog, or online on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, under Vida Ghaffari, Twitter, VIDAGHAFF like Frank, ARI, or under So Very Vida. I think the Vida Ghaffari one is more popular, so that's where they can find me. Thank you so much, Rodney. It's been an honor.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure and an honor to have you on, and it's been a great conversation. That's what I enjoy so much about my show. It ain't all about just asking questions. It's more of having a conversation. And with you and Lorraine, I mean, you two, it's just amazing. A lot of people in this area, why are you doing and interviewing those Hollywood types? I'm like, because they're cool. They're badass.
Lorene is a doll, and I can't wait for you to see Nation's Fire. She's really going to shine in that film. She's opposite Bruce Dern, so I tip my hat to Lorene as well. She's such a phenomenal lady. She's so talented. She's really going to shine this year, and she truly deserves it. She's such an incredible actress. She's done such great work, and I'm honored to work with her as well as Mel Novak. And again, big shout out to Joe Williamson. Thank you so much, Rodney. It's been an honor and pleasure for me. Have a wonderful evening, and thank you to all the listeners. Thank you.
Oh, thank you too. You have a good night, ma'am.
You too, sir. Thank you. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, I want to thank Vida so much for coming on the show and sharing her experiences with us. Again, thank you. We have nothing but respect for you and the job you're doing, and keep cranking out them movies. We welcome you back anytime.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's
Bye.
it for us tonight. Oh, bye-bye. I want to thank everyone that listened in. I'd like to give a big shout-out to the Vibe Radio Network and to Holly and Ryan for putting up with us. Also to all the first responders and our men and women in the armed services, thank you all for your service. Our guest for next Thursday night, July 27th, will be the psychic medium criminal profile, Robbie Thomas. So tune in, turn in. Sorry. It's been a long day, people. Tune in next week to another exciting show starting at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everyone, you can go to our Facebook page Within the Chaos, and don't forget to like the page. If you like it, click the like. I appreciate it. To see our upcoming guests and along with past shows, postings, and you can also go to my website, www.blackdiamondps.org or blogtalkradio.com/Within the Chaos. Thanks again. Until next week, be safe, have a good night, and everyone have a great weekend. This song, Stand Up, is by my good friend Jerry Sword. Enjoy.
You never let it out, you never let it go. I feel I can see in your lies that I'm just about over this life with you goes on and on. Why don't you stand up? There's nothing left to scream about. And shut your mouth. There's nothing left to talk about. You never let it out. I never let it go. I'm living days on fire. I'm spinning out of control. I can see in your eyes that it's just about over. I can see through your lies that I'm just about over there. So won't you tell me, have you lost your fucking mind? Why don't you stand up? There's nothing left to scream about. Shut your mouth. There's nothing left to talk about. Stand up, back it up and stand up now. Stand up, there's nothing left to scream about. Back it up, there's nothing left to talk about. You never let it out, you never let it go. You never let it out, you never let it go. Fucking let it out, fucking let it go. Stand up, back it up. Stand
Back to school shopping shouldn't feel like a test, so ace your list at Target. Save 5% with debit or credit red card on gear kids need to start the year right. Apply now. Some restrictions apply. Visit target.com/redcard for red card 5% discount details. Back to school shopping shouldn't feel like a test, so ace your list at Target. Save 5% with debit or credit red card on gear kids need to start the year right. Apply now. Some restrictions apply. Visit target.com/redcard for red card 5% discount details.